Okay, let's talk about something that's a huge threat for anyone, and I mean anyone, with applications running in the cloud. I'm talking about attacks specifically designed to just drain your resources and totally knock you offline. So how do you defend against that? Well, let's dive into how Azure's Digital Shield can be your best friend here.
Just picture this for a second. Your website, your main app, your entire online business, it's just gone. Poof. Vanished from the internet. It's been completely overwhelmed by this massive flood of junk traffic. I mean, what does that even do to your users? What does that do to your business? It's pretty scary to think about, right?
Yeah, that scary scenario, it's a very real threat, and it's called a distributed denial of service attack, or DDoS for short. Now, the whole point of a DDoS attack isn't really about stealing your data. Nope. It's much simpler and kind of cruder. The goal is just to hammer your application with so much traffic that it completely runs out of resources, making you totally unavailable to your actual legitimate users. And here's the kicker. Any publicly reachable endpoint on the internet, yeah, that can be a target.
Okay, but it's not all doom and gloom. There is some really good news here. If you're building your stuff on Azure, you actually have this super powerful and intelligent defender already in your corner. So let's talk about Azure's Automated Shield, which is built to fight this exact kind of threat. And look, this is not just some basic firewall we're talking about. Azure DDoS Protection is, well, it's smarter than that. It's automatically tuned to defend your specific Azure resources. And honestly, the best part, it's so simple to turn on. You can enable it on any virtual network, new or old, and you don't have to touch a single line of your application's code. It just works. Okay, so it's really, really important to get what this protects and what it doesn't. Think of it like layers of security, like an onion. Azure DDoS Protection is your tough outer layer. It's shielding the network layers. That's layer 3 and 4 in the tech speak. But for your actual web applications, which live at layer 7, you need another layer of defense. You've got to pair it with a Web Application Firewall, or a WAF. Put them together, and that's when you get that complete, multi-layered protection we're all after. All right, so we know what it covers. But how does this thing actually work? Like, when the pressure's on, what does it do? Well, first off, and this is key, it is always on. We're talking 24/7. It's constantly monitoring your application traffic patterns, always on the lookout for even the tiniest hint of a DDoS attack. And when it spots something, the response is just seamless. It's totally automated. So it starts with that continuous monitoring we just talked about. Then, the second an attack is detected, boom, mitigation kicks in instantly. You don't have to do anything. And then, after the dust settles, you get these detailed reports that break down exactly what went down. But, there's even more cool stuff happening under the hood. It uses what's called adaptive real-time tuning. Basically, it's smart. It learns your application's normal traffic patterns. You also get advanced analytics, with all the metrics and alerts you could want. It's what they call turnkey protection, which is just a fancy way of saying you flip a switch and you're protected. And this one is huge. It has extensive scale. We're talking about the global capacity to fend off even the biggest, nastiest DDoS attacks out there.
Okay, this all sounds pretty powerful, right? So the next logical question is, how do you actually get this for your own apps? Let's break down how you can pick the right tier for what you need.
So you basically have two main flavors to choose from. First, there's DDoS Network Protection. Think of this as the big umbrella. It's designed to cover an entire virtual network. It's a single plan, and it comes with some really valuable extras, like access to the rapid response team, that cost protection we'll talk about, and even discounts on your WAF. Then you've got DDoS IP protection. This one is way more surgical. You pay per IP, so you can protect individual public IP addresses. It gives you all the core protection features, but you don't get those extra services. All right, now having a great tool like this is awesome, but it's only one piece of the puzzle, right? Using it as part of a really smart, complete strategy is what's actually going to keep you safe. So let's go over some of the best practices that Microsoft themselves recommend for your overall defense. And seriously, this stuff is so important. First up, design for resilience right from the get-go. That means building redundancy into your apps and your infrastructure. Don't make it a fragile house of cards. Second, you have to think in layers. Remember the WAF we talked about? It's that same idea. You need security for your network, for your app, and for your data. And last but not least, have an incident response plan ready to go. You need a playbook so your team knows exactly what to do and can coordinate if an attack ever does get through. Now, check this out. This next part offers some incredible peace of mind. Just imagine a massive attack hits you.
It forces your applications to scale way, way out, and that's just racking up your cloud bill, right? Well, with the network protection plan, Azure actually gives you a cost guarantee. You can get service credits back for those resource costs you racked up during a documented attack. I mean, that is a huge value add right there.
So at the end of the day, the question isn't if threats exist. We know they do. They're out there. The real question you have to ask yourself is this: is your cloud fortress ready to face them? Because with tools like Azure DDoS Protection, and when you bake it into a smart strategy, you have a seriously powerful shield to make sure the answer to that question is always yes.